The massive screen in the United Nations Emergency Council chamber showed a sight that made everyone's blood run cold. A fleet of sleek, silver ships hung in space just beyond Mars' orbit. They had appeared without warning, their technology somehow bypassing Earth's most advanced detection systems. Admiral James Thompson stood at the podium, his weathered face illuminated by the harsh lighting. The room was packed with world leaders, all gathered within 2 hours of the ship's appearance. No one spoke. No one needed to. "Ladies and gentlemen," Thompson began, his voice steady despite the situation. 30 minutes ago, we'd received this message from the alien fleet." He pressed a button, and a new image appeared on the screen. A tall humanoid figure dressed in elaborate robes spoke in perfect English. "People of Earth, this is Governor Port of the Galactic Empire. Your civilization has been monitored and deemed ready for integration. You have 48 hours to accept imperial authority and begin the integration process. Resistance will be met with appropriate force." Murmurs filled the chamber. Thompson waited for them to die down before continuing. "Our deep space telescopes have counted 500 ships in their fleet. Each one appears to be roughly the size of an aircraft carrier." He paused, letting that sink in. "However, what they don't know is that we've been preparing for this moment for decades." The UN Secretary General leaned forward. "Admiral, you're suggesting we fight an alien empire with technology far beyond ours." Thompson smiled for the first time that day. "Not beyond, sir. Just different." He pressed another button, bringing up a new display. 20 years ago, we discovered an unusual asteroid in the Kuiper Belt. It was artificial. A damaged scout ship from some ancient battle. We've been reverse engineering its technology ever since. The display showed a complex network of satellites and defense platforms orbiting Earth. Most of the world leaders had never seen these images before. "Project Guardian Shield," Thompson explained. "A joint effort by all major space-capable nations. We have 3,000 automated defense platforms in orbit, each equipped with targeting systems more advanced than anything we've detected from the Empire's ships." The Russian president stood up. "And you're certain these defenses will work?" "We're about to find out." Thompson nodded to his aide, who handed him a secure tablet. 10 minutes ago, we detected a small Imperial scout ship breaking formation. It's heading toward Earth for what we believe is a preliminary scan. I'm asking for authorization to demonstrate our capabilities." The chamber erupted in debate. Some leaders called for immediate diplomatic contact, others for full military response. The argument raged for 5 minutes until the Chinese president's voice cut through the chaos. "We should show them we are not helpless, but we must be precise. One shot, one message." Agreement spread through the chamber. The Secretary General called for a vote. It was unanimous. Thompson didn't waste time. He entered his authorization code into the tablet. "Defense platform Charlie 7 is locked on target. Launching in 3, 2, 1. On the main screen, a small bright point separated from one of Earth's satellites. The antimatter-tipped missile moved faster than any human-made projectile in history. The Imperial scout ship didn't even attempt to evade. Perhaps their sensors didn't register it as a threat, or perhaps they were too confident in their superior technology. The explosion was silent in the vacuum of space, but its light briefly outshone Mars. When it faded, there was nothing left of the scout ship except a rapidly expanding cloud of debris. Thompson sent a transmission on all frequencies, using the communication protocols they'd learned from the ancient scout ship. "Attention, Imperial Fleet. You have entered restricted space. Earth is a sovereign world. You have 24 hours to withdraw or face similar consequences. This is your only warning." The chamber was silent again, but this time the silence carried a different weight. Humanity had just thrown down the gauntlet to a galactic empire. As Thompson watched the main screen, he noticed the Imperial ships adjusting their formation. They were either preparing to withdraw or to attack. Either way, humanity was ready. "And now," he said quietly, "we wait." The Empire's response came exactly 23 hours after Earth's warning shot. 500 warships moved in perfect formation, their silver hulls reflecting the distant sunlight as they approach Earth's orbit. In the Defense Command Center beneath the Rocky Mountains, Admiral Thompson watched them through multiple holographic displays. "They're following textbook Imperial formation," reported Captain Lisa West, her eyes fixed on the tactical screen. "Exactly like the data we recovered from that old scout ship." Thompson nodded. 20 years of studying that crashed ship was about to pay off. "They think this is going to be easy," he said. "They expect us to surrender as soon as they show their full strength." The Empire's ships spread out in a classic invasion pattern, forming a wide net around Earth. Their formation was perfect, beautiful even, and completely predictable. "All defense platforms report ready," announced Major Tom Baker from his station. "Quantum targeting systems are locked and running. We have solutions on all 500 targets." Thompson took a deep breath. "Send the final warning." The message was brief. "Imperial Fleet, you have entered restricted space. This is your final warning to withdraw." The Empire's response was immediate. Their ships launched what they probably considered a minimal show of force. A single volley of energy weapons aimed at Earth's largest cities. They likely expected the display to trigger an immediate surrender. Instead, 3,000 defense platforms activated simultaneously. The quantum targeting systems, reverse-engineered from the ancient scout ship, but greatly improved by Earth's scientists, did what they were designed to do. Space lit up with thousands of antimatter missiles. The Empire's ships tried to raise their shields, but Earth's weapons were already inside their defense perimeter. Their perfect formation became their perfect downfall, each ship blocking its neighbor's escape route. First wave impact in 3, 2, 1. Captain West counted down. The explosions created an artificial aurora around Earth, a devastating light show visible even in daylight. Empire ships vanished by the dozens, their supposedly superior technology useless against weapons they hadn't expected humanity to possess. "They're breaking formation," Major Baker shouted. Multiple ships attempting emergency jumps. Thompson watched as the Imperial fleet fell into chaos. Their rigid command structure, so effective at controlling vast territories of space, proved to be a fatal weakness. Without clear orders from their superiors, many ship captains froze, waiting for commands that would never come. "Second wave impact in progress," reported West. The defense platforms had already recalculated and launched another volley, taking advantage of the confusion. More explosions lit up space. The Empire's counterattacks were disorganized, most of their shots absorbed by Earth's energy shields. Another gift from that ancient scout ship. "Sir," Baker called out, "we're picking up emergency transmissions from their command ship. They're calling for retreat." The surviving Imperial ships were already turning around, their perfect formation forgotten. Energy signatures showed they were charging their faster-than-light drives. "Let them go," Thompson ordered, "but target any ship that looks like it's charging weapons." A few Empire captains tried one last attack. Their ships disappeared in brief flashes of light, picked off by Earth's automated defenses. The rest fled, jumping away in groups of 2s and 3s, until only debris remained in Earth orbit. In the command center, nobody cheered. They had just fought and won humanity's first interstellar battle, but everyone knew this was just the beginning. "Damage report," Thompson called out. 12 defense platforms destroyed, West reported. 3 major cities reported minimal damage from the initial volley. No civilian casualties. She paused, checking another screen. "We confirm 302 Empire ships destroyed, 47 severely damaged, and the rest escaped." Thompson nodded slowly. "Send a message to the UN Security Council. Tell them Phase 1 is complete." And he looked at the debris field filling his displays. "Tell them to prepare for Phase 2. The Empire won't take this humiliation lightly." Earth had won its first battle against the Galactic Empire, but the war was just beginning. As Thompson stared at the tactical displays, he wondered what secrets they might learn from all that Imperial wreckage now floating in Earth orbit. One thing was certain: humanity had just announced its presence to the galaxy in a way that could never be ignored. Intelligence Officer Mark Anderson stood in a massive hangar beneath the Nevada desert, surrounded by pieces of salvaged Empire technology. 3 weeks had passed since the battle, and Earth scientists had been working nonstop to understand their defeated enemy. "Show me the interesting part again," he said to Dr. Helen Reed, the lead scientist on the recovery team. She nodded and pressed a button on her tablet. A hologram appeared, showing the inside of an Imperial ship's control room. "Look at the control panels," she said, zooming in. "Every ship we've examined has exactly the same layout. Not similar, identical, down to the last button." Anderson walked around the hologram, frowning. "That doesn't make sense. Even on Earth, different countries build their systems differently." "Exactly." Helen pulled up another hologram, this one showing the ship's engine room. "It gets better, or worse, depending on how you look at it. Their technology hasn't changed in over 300 years. "That's impossible," Anderson said. "No civilization just stops innovating." "Unless," Helen replied, "they're not allowed to innovate." She led him to a partially reconstructed computer core. "We found something in their databases. The Empire doesn't just control territory. They control technological development. Every species they integrate has to follow their technical standards exactly." Anderson's eyes widened as he understood. That's why they couldn't adapt during the battle. Their crews are trained to follow exact procedures, use exact equipment, and face exact enemies. Helen finished. "We think Earth is the first civilization they've encountered that developed completely outside their influence. We don't follow their rules because we never knew their rules existed." Anderson walked to a nearby workbench where pieces of an Imperial weapon lay dissected. "What about their actual tech level? Are they more advanced than us?" "Yes and no," Helen said. "Their base technology is more advanced, but it's stagnant. They haven't improved it in centuries. Meanwhile, just by studying the debris from one battle, we've already found ways to improve their designs." She picked up a circuit board. "Look at this. Their quantum computers are built to Empire specifications from 3 centuries ago. Ours are newer, developed differently. Their systems didn't even recognize our targeting computers as technology. That's why their shields didn't react in time." Anderson typed notes into his tablet. "So their weakness is standardization," Helen said firmly. "The Empire sacrificed innovation for control. Every ship identical. Every crew trained the same way. Every tactic planned generations ago. They're fighting a war by manual, and we're rewriting the rules as we go." Just then, Anderson's tablet beeped with an urgent message. His face turned serious as he read it. "What is it?" Helen asked. "Long-range sensors just picked up something." He showed her the message. "Looks like the Empire's coming back. But this time, they're bringing a much bigger fleet." Helen smiled, surprising him. "Good," she said, "because we've just finished our first batch of hybrid weapons. Empire power cells with Earth targeting systems. Better than anything they've got, because we're not afraid to experiment." Anderson looked around the hangar at dozens of similar research stations, each one studying and improving different pieces of Empire technology. In just 3 weeks, humanity had learned more about space warfare than the Empire had in 3 centuries. "How long until the new fleet arrives?" Helen asked. "About 2 weeks, according to the projections." She nodded. "Perfect. Just enough time to give them a few more surprises." She waved at her team, who were already moving to their stations with renewed energy. "You know what they say. Necessity is the mother of invention. And humanity," Anderson added, watching the scientists work, "is very good at necessity." As he left the hangar, Anderson thought about how the Empire's greatest strength, its uniformity, had become its critical weakness. Humanity's chaotic, diverse, sometimes inefficient way of doing things had turned out to be its greatest advantage. The Empire was coming back with a bigger fleet, but Earth would be ready. Because while they were following their ancient battle plans, humanity was creating new ones. Every day, every hour, every minute. The real question wasn't whether Earth could match the Empire's technology. The question was whether the Empire could adapt to humanity's constant innovation. Somehow, Anderson doubted they could. The meeting room at the United Nations building fell silent as the Empire's diplomat entered. Linda Reed walked with perfect posture, her imperial uniform gleaming with medals, but her face was unmistakably human. Admiral Thompson, seated at the conference table, felt his jaw tighten. "You're human," he said, stating the obvious. Linda smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. "I was born on Earth 30 years ago. The Empire found me as a child during one of their early survey missions. They raised me, educated me, showed me the benefits of imperial rule." She sat down gracefully. "I'm proof that humans can thrive in the Empire." "You mean we can be useful servants?" Thompson replied. "I prefer the term productive citizens," Linda said. "The Empire has brought peace and stability to thousands of worlds. Earth's resistance is unusual, but not irreparable." The UN Secretary-General cleared his throat. "We understand you have a proposal." Linda placed a small device on the table. It projected a hologram showing Earth surrounded by a glowing shield. "The Empire is willing to be generous. We offer Earth protected species status. You'll be allowed to maintain limited self-governance under Imperial supervision. Your military will be disbanded, but you'll receive the Empire's protection." Thompson laughed, surprising everyone. "Protection? From what? We destroyed 60% of your first invasion fleet." "That was unfortunate," Linda admitted, "but the next fleet will be much larger." "The Empire." "Before you continue," Thompson interrupted, "let me show you something." He nodded to his aide, who activated the room's main screen. The display showed a massive construction yard in Earth orbit. Imperial ships, or what used to be Imperial ships, were being systematically taken apart and rebuilt. But the new designs were clearly different, more aggressive, more efficient. "In 3 weeks," Thompson said, "we've not only understood your technology but improved it. Those are hybrid chips, combining Earth's innovation with Imperial tech. And that's just the beginning." Linda's perfect composure cracked slightly. "Impossible. Imperial technology cannot be modified. It's against your rules." Thompson pressed a button, and the screen showed a test firing. A hybrid chip's weapons cut through Imperial shields like they weren't there. "We don't follow your rules. We make our own." "This is exactly why the Empire's guidance is necessary," Linda insisted, but her voice wavered. "Uncontrolled innovation leads to chaos. War. It leads to growth," the Secretary-General cut in. "Humanity has survived and thrived because we adapt, change, improve. We don't want your protection. We want recognition as a sovereign space and a non-interference agreement." Linda stood up, her face pale. "The Empire cannot allow." "The Empire," Thompson said quietly, "doesn't have a choice. Right now, we're broadcasting the results of our research to every world in Imperial space. Every species under your control is learning that your technology can be improved, that your rules aren't laws of nature, but chains of control." "You're bluffing," Linda whispered. Thompson smiled. "Would you like to see today's transmission? We're showing how to modify Imperial power cores to increase efficiency by 40%. Yesterday, it was shield frequencies. Tomorrow, well, that's a surprise." Linda's hands shook as she gathered her things. "The Empire will not stand for this rebellion." "No," the Secretary-General agreed. "But perhaps it's time for the Empire to change, to grow, to improve, like we do." After Linda left, Thompson turned to the Secretary-General. "She'll report everything." "Good," the Secretary-General replied. "Let them know exactly what they're facing. Not just our weapons, but our ideas. Sometimes the most dangerous thing you can give people is hope." In orbit, Another hybrid ship rolled out of the construction yards, its design a perfect blend of human ingenuity and Imperial technology. Earth was ready for whatever came next. The Empire would either adapt or it would fall. And humanity would be watching, ready to help build something better from the pieces. Dr. Thomas Wright stared at his computer screen in horror. His team had spent weeks decoding the deepest levels of Imperial database records recovered from the destroyed ships. What they found made his blood run cold. "Get Admiral Thompson," he told his assistant. "Now." 20 minutes later, Thompson stood in the underground lab, watching as Wright pulled up file after file on the large display screen. "It's worse than we thought," Wright explained, his voice tight. "The Empire doesn't just control technology. They deliberately engineer the development of entire species." He showed a map of failed uplift projects, thousands of worlds where civilizations had been guided, manipulated, and ultimately destroyed by Imperial interference. "Look at this pattern," Wright pointed. "They wait until a species reaches early space flight capability. Then they make contact, offering advanced technology and protection. But the technology they provide is designed to make the species dependent on Imperial support." Thompson leaned closer to the screen. "How?" "The technology requires specific materials only found in Imperial territory. The maintenance procedures are deliberately complex, requiring Imperial oversight." Wright pulled up another file. "But here's the worst part. When a species doesn't integrate properly, when they resist too much." The screen showed a graveyard of dead worlds, planets where civilizations had been wiped out, their resources harvested, their populations eliminated. All marked as failed integration attempts in the Empire's cold, bureaucratic language. "How many?" Thompson asked quietly. 312 complete extinctions in the last millennium alone." Wright's hands shook as he typed. "But we found something else. Something that explains why they're so afraid of us." New data filled the screen. Genetic analysis reports, behavioral studies, technological development patterns. Every species they've successfully controlled was artificially guided from the beginning. Small changes made to their evolution, subtle pushes in their development, all to make them perfect Imperial citizens. "But not us," Thompson realized. "No." Wright smiled for the first time. "Earth was missed somehow. Humanity developed completely naturally, without any Imperial manipulation. That's why their control technology doesn't work properly on us. That's why we can think in ways they can't predict." Thompson thought about the implications. "Can you prove all this?" "Beyond any doubt." "Better than that," Wright said, inserting a data chip into his computer. "I can show you their own records. They documented everything, never thinking anyone outside their system would see it." "Get this to our broadcast team," Thompson ordered. "Every Imperial world needs to see this." "Already done," Wright replied. "But there's more. Those hybrid ships we're building, the ones combining our innovation with their tech. According to these records, they should be impossible. The Empire designed their technology to reject unauthorized modifications. But it's working for us." "Exactly." Wright pulled up technical specifications. "Their control systems can't recognize our changes as technology because we developed them independently. We're like a virus their immune system can't detect. Every change we make, every improvement we create, spreads through their systems uncontested." Thompson's tablet beeped with an urgent message. "Speaking of spreading, we're getting responses to the first broadcasts. Multiple Imperial worlds are requesting more information. Some are already reporting civilian protests. The Empire's going to react badly to this," Wright warned. "Let them." Thompson's face hardened. "They've been playing God with entire species, deciding who lives and dies based on obedience. That ends now." As if on cue, the facility's alert system activated. Multiple Imperial fleets detected entering the outer solar system. A computerized voice announced. "Estimated arrival time, 6 hours." "Well," Wright said, looking at his screens full of Imperial secrets, "they were bound to notice we cracked their database eventually." Thompson nodded grimly. Keep broadcasting. Every world deserves to know the truth." He turned to leave, then paused. "And Dr. Wright, thank you. You've just given us the most powerful weapon we could have asked for." "What's that?" "The truth," Thompson replied. "Against an empire built on lies, there's nothing more dangerous." The largest space battle in human history began at dawn. 3,000 Imperial warships emerged from faster-than-light travel, their golden hulls catching the first rays of Earth's sun. Behind them came 7,000 support vessels, supply ships, and troop carriers. The Empire had assembled its largest fleet in 5 centuries. In Earth's command center, Admiral Thompson watched the enemy forces spread out across his tactical displays. But unlike their last encounter, he was smiling. "Message from the Imperial flagship," announced Captain West. "They're demanding our immediate surrender." "Send them our response," Thompson ordered. On every Imperial ship's command screen, a simple message appeared: "Look behind you." The Imperial fleet's rear sensors activated just in time to detect 500 ships dropping out of stealth mode. But these weren't Earth vessels. They were ships from dozens of different Imperial worlds, all modified with Earth's hybrid technology. "This is Governor Reed of the Free Worlds Alliance," a familiar voice transmitted on all frequencies. Linda Reed, the former Imperial diplomat, now led the first wave of rebellious Imperial worlds. "We reject Empire control. We choose freedom." The Imperial fleet's perfect formation wavered as commanders tried to process this unprecedented situation. Their training had never prepared them for their own citizens turning against them. "All ships, execute Battle Plan Freedom," Thompson commanded. Earth's defense platforms activated, but they weren't alone anymore. Hidden throughout the solar system, 2,000 hybrid warships powered up their engines. They had been built in secret over the past weeks, each one combining Imperial power with human innovation. The battle erupted across space. Imperial ships found their communications jammed by frequencies they had never encountered. Their targeting systems failed against vessels that combined Earth and Imperial technology in ways their computers couldn't understand. Northern Fleet reporting successful breakthrough. West called out, "The Imperial command structure is breaking down. Their ships are fighting individually instead of coordinating." Thompson nodded. This was exactly what they had planned for. The Empire's greatest strength, its uniformity, had become its greatest weakness. Each Imperial ship was identical, following the same protocols, using the same tactics. But every Earth ship and every rebel vessel fought differently, adapting and changing strategies on the fly. "Sector 7 reports Imperial ships surrendering," another officer announced. 300 vessels have powered down weapons." The tactical display showed the battle's progress. The Imperial fleet's golden icons were being steadily pushed back by the combined forces of Earth and the rebel worlds. Some Imperial ships were actually turning on their own forces, their crews inspired by the broadcast revelations about the Empire's true nature. "Admiral," West called out urgently, "the Imperial flagship is powering up its main weapon. Energy readings are off the scale." "As expected," Thompson said calmly. "Execute Operation Sunrise." Across the solar system, hidden platforms activated. These weren't weapons, they were broadcasting stations. As the Imperial flagship prepared to fire, every ship in the battle received a simple technical schematic showing a fatal flaw in the Empire's main weapon design. The Imperial flagship fired, and its weapon system backfired catastrophically. The massive ship went dark, its power grid overloaded by its own weapon. "Send to all Imperial forces," Thompson ordered. "You've just witnessed what free thinking and innovation can achieve. Your empire is built on stagnation and control. It's time for change." The battle wasn't over, but its outcome was already clear. More Imperial ships were surrendering every minute. The ones that continued fighting found themselves facing opponents who could predict and counter their every move, thanks to centuries of unchanged Imperial tactical doctrine. In Earth's command center, Thompson received a new message. System after system was declaring independence from the Empire, inspired by Earth's example and armed with hybrid technology that the Empire couldn't counter. "Sir," West said quietly, "I think we just changed the galaxy." "No," Thompson replied, watching more Imperial ships power down their weapons. "We just showed them how to change themselves." 1 month after the Great Battle, Admiral Thompson stood at the window of the newly constructed Galactic Cooperation Center in orbit above Earth. The view before him would have been impossible to imagine just a few months ago. Ships from 100 different worlds moved through space, each one unique. Some still showed their Imperial origins, but most had been modified and improved by their crews. Innovation, once forbidden, now flourished throughout the galaxy. "The latest reports are in," announced Dr. Wright, walking into the observation room with a tablet. "The Empire's central government has officially dissolved. The last Loyalist forces surrendered this morning." Thompson nodded, watching a group of former Imperial ships practicing new flight patterns with Earth instructors. "How many worlds have declared independence now?" 3,412, Wright replied. "And more coming in every hour." "But that's not the best part." He handed the tablet to Thompson. "Look at what they're doing with their freedom." The screen showed reports from across the galaxy. Worlds that had been locked in technological stasis for centuries were creating new innovations. Species that had never been allowed to communicate were sharing ideas. The rigid uniformity of the Empire was being replaced by an explosion of diversity and creativity. "The Free Systems Alliance is working better than we hoped," Wright continued. "Earth's example showed them that different cultures can work together without giving up their identity." "And the former Imperial citizens?" Thompson asked. "Most are adapting well. Turns out a lot of them hated the rigid control as much as we did. They just needed to see that change was possible." Wright smiled. "Linda Reed's leadership of the rebel fleet really helped. Showed them that even the most dedicated Imperial citizen could choose a different path." A small ship caught Thompson's attention, one of the new designs that combined technologies from 3 different species. "What about the Empire's hidden projects?" "The manipulated species. We're finding them," Wright assured him. "The Empire's records are helping us locate every world they interfered with. The recovery teams are offering help, but this time it's their choice whether to accept it or not." Thompson's tablet beeped with an incoming message. It was from a world on the former Empire's outer rim, one of the failed integration planets that had barely survived Imperial punishment. They were requesting Earth's help to rebuild, but not as subordinates, as equals. "You know what the best part is," Wright said, looking out at the busy space lanes. "We're learning as much from them as they are from us. Every species has its own way of thinking, its own approaches to problems. Without the Empire forcing everyone to do things their way, we all grow stronger," Thompson finished. A flash of light caught their attention. In the shipyard below, engineers from Earth were working with former Imperial technicians to test a new type of engine. The successful test lit up space with a beautiful purple glow, a color no Imperial engine had ever produced. "There's a lot of work ahead," Wright noted. "Some worlds are struggling with their new freedom. The Empire left deep scars. Then we'll help them," Thompson said firmly. "Not by controlling them like the Empire did, but by standing with them. By showing them what free people working together can achieve." His tablet chimed again. More declarations of independence were coming in, along with requests to join the Alliance. But these weren't demands or surrenders. They were choices, freely made by people who had finally discovered they had the right to choose. As Thompson watched the vibrant flow of ships and people below, he remembered that first Imperial demand for Earth's surrender. The Empire had thought they were offering humanity a place in their controlled, stagnant universe. Instead, humanity had shown the galaxy a different way. Not perfect uniformity, but beautiful diversity. Not rigid control, but free cooperation. Not submission, but partnership. The sun rose over Earth's curve, illuminating the busy space lanes, the hybrid ships, the mixing of cultures and ideas that had been separated for centuries. Humanity's first step into the galaxy hadn't gone as anyone expected. They had set out to defend their independence, but ended up helping the galaxy rediscover its own. "Looks like we didn't just ban the Empire from Earth," Thompson said quietly. "We helped the galaxy ban it from the future."